Thanks for joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. And it's that time. It's that time of the offseason to catch up with defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo one more time. And it is timely because there have been a couple of signings on the back end. The Bengals lost their starting safeties, the Killer Bees, Bates and Bell, but they signed Nick Scott. And getting him in the fold, I think, is a big deal. And he'll talk about that. And also, can never have enough cornerbacks, can never have enough cover guys. Sidney Jones IV joins the fray. A very, very recent signing. Good-sized cornerback. It's got some length to him, and he can really run. Lou Anarumo talks about that. Talks about his entire defensive football team, his outlook on the defensive side of things with the Cincinnati Bengals, and so much more. I think you're going to enjoy this. Thanks for joining us once again in the trenches with Dave Lapham. First Star Logistics provides us an unbelievable studio, and they also sponsor our podcast, Videocast. And our special guest today is defensive coordinator extraordinaire of the Cincinnati Bengals, none other than Lou Anarumo. Coach, welcome. Appreciate your time, sir.
Hey, thanks, Lap. Thanks for having me as always.
So a little time. You know, you had the free agent signings, the combine, the draft is coming up. Any family time? You having a little time to yourself that you can enjoy, Coach?
Yeah, this week owners meeting, so we'll get some time here down in Florida, just relaxing a little bit. Was at the University of Miami's pro day yesterday, so kind of timed up good.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So you've got a little activity going on the back end for the Cincinnati Bengals from a free agency standpoint. Nick Scott out of Penn State played with the Rams most recently. He was part of Super Bowl 56, won the Super Bowl there. And then you pick up Sidney Jones IV, who was a member of Super Bowl 52 winning football team. He's out of University of Washington, second-round pick by the Philadelphia Eagles, 6 feet, 186 pounds. Let's talk about these two signings. Let's start with Nick Scott. He did come to Cincinnati with his wife and his infant and child, and it was unbelievable listening to this kid. I mean, he is impressive. He is articulate. He's the real deal, isn't he?
Yeah, I like everything about Nick. As you mentioned, smart, great family man. Has played on a Super Bowl team. Everything about his game we like, and got some good range. Is shown up in coverage and tackling. So like everything about him, and we're super excited to have him.
Now he paid his dues. He came into the league as a 7th-round draft pick out of Penn State, and he knew he had to earn his keep as such as a special teams player, and stepped up more than willingly to do that. He's a big-time hitter, isn't he? I mean, his speed, he can convert speed to power in terms of getting people off their feet and on the ground.
Yeah, he can run, and like you said, he kind of started out as a special teamer and then kind of worked his way up. And but no, like as I mentioned, he's anybody that has the experience he has, and then again, the athlete that he is, way he can run. We really liked him, and we're happy we have him.
Now he played a little bit of running back even in his collegiate career, kind of emphasizing the athletic ability that you're talking about. Do you look at that as a plus, a minus, or does it vary from guy to guy? Does a guy that played running back, when he makes a conversion to the defensive side of football, does he see the game through a little bit different eyes, or what's your past experience in that regard?
Yeah, I think he can help. I think it is, though, player to player. But in this case, Nick's a real cerebral guy, so certainly, looks at it through both ends. So I think that it certainly will help his game for sure.
In today's NFL, there's no real. I mean, you're in the box and you're in the backed up in the field. If the team offensively changes formation with motion and all that, those safeties are rolling. I mean, there's really not too much true strong safety and free safety anymore, is it? Is just safety in the National Football League for the most part?
Yeah, I think it's similar to what you're saying. I think everybody's a little bit different on how they employ their safeties, but yeah, the more they're the same, I think the little bit of better, so that you don't get a beat on, who's down, who's back. We kind of use guys both in that regard. So he'll have to do a bunch of different jobs, and I think he can handle it.
That versatility is very important. And Dax Hill, you had Dax Hill do a lot of things as a rookie from a position versatility standpoint. With Dax and Nick back there, say as safeties that you've got right now on the roster, Dax having been experienced playing slot, playing even outside corner. Oh, I'm going to do this as safety because I know what the slot corner is doing. I know what the outside. I mean, just that big picture perspective. How much do you think that helped Dax last year?
Yeah, I think it did, and I also think it'll help him just to kind of lock in on one thing now, and
Yeah.
focus on that, and become the best safety he can be.
And how big a deal is Jermaine Pratt re-signing, Coach? I mean, the communication between Jermaine Pratt and your safeties is instrumental in your overall defensive success, isn't it?
Yeah, Jermaine is, as I've said before, he's like having another coach out there, and he can really dictate a lot of what we're doing and communication wise, and so yeah, he's going to be able to help both these guys, really being able to kind of just slide in and and just hit the ground running.
Yeah, he is. That's a big signing to get Jermaine Pratt back. His preparation, his commitment to the game is second to none. I mean, that dude, he's he works at it, doesn't he? He puts in the time.
Oh, no doubt. He's calling out plays before they happen, and knows the defense inside and out, and that's a big part of why he's able to play fast and free, and we're very excited to have him back.
We've talked about Tyson Anderson a little bit too. A good part of last year was lost due to injury, but Tyson Anderson was drafted for a reason. I mean, Dax Hill, Tyson Anderson, both drafted in the same draft at the safety position. What's your thoughts on Tyson at this point?
Yeah, it'll be a big spring for him. Big. Once we get to training camp and the preseason games, he'll have a chance to show. As you mentioned, was injured some last year, and but this will be a big spring and training camp for him to see kind of where he's at and how he can help us.
I thought you had a great line during the media availability during the off season. The when you addressed the media right after the loss of both safeties, you said it's darkest before the dawn.
Mm-hmm.
You're a big fan of both the safeties, obviously, and they came in and they performed well for you. And it's a business at graduation. These guys, get contracts that are life changing for them and their families. And the mark that they left, though, the things that they, from a cultural standpoint, Vaughn, the prep, getting there at 6 o'clock in the morning, the preparation, Jessie and Vaughn both instrumental in the defensive backs and meeting on their own. And that's not going to go away. I mean, I remember guys that when I was a young offensive lineman, they had a big impact on how I prepared for the game of football. And when they retired or traded or whatever, everything that they taught me didn't go with them. It stayed with me and other guys on the team. That's a big impact, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen, not going to sugarcoat anything. Everybody knows how much I love Jessie and Vaughn.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned it, it's a part of this business. They both played well and got contracts, as you mentioned, that were great for both them and their families. So I'm happy, sad for us, happy for them. But now it's like you said, it's I coached in college a long time. Great players and great leaders graduate every year, and you got to replace them, and that's kind of where we're at.
So the most recent free agent signing, just happening basically very very shortly before we're getting together here. Sidney Jones the fourth, 6 foot, 186 pounder. Two-time Pac-10 first-team player, played at University of Washington, second-round player, went to the Philadelphia Eagles. He had some injuries, had Achilles issues, hamstring issues, but this guy coming out of college, I mean, he had his Achilles problem on his pro day, unfortunately, during the pro day, and he slid. He was like top 5 corner coming out his senior year in college at Washington. What was the thought process behind bringing this person to the mix in your secondary?
Well, I don't think you can ever have enough corners. So, I think it's the way that people throw the ball around these days. The more you have, the better you'll be. He's a big, long guy who can run, and so and as you mentioned, he's got a ton of experience in big games. So I think he'll fit right in nicely.
That's the thing, Coach. It's we talk about the culture and everything, and Orlando Brown just won this past Super Bowl 57. Mm-hmm. Nick Scott was part of Super Bowl 56 winning football team. Sidney Jones IV, he played on the Super Bowl 52 winning football team with the Philadelphia Eagles. So these guys are coming from big schools in college, big programs, had success. They go to the National Football League, are on Super Bowl teams, have success, part of this winning culture. It's a habit, basically. You get good and bad habits. And these guys are some of them are captains, at various levels, like most of these guys on the Bengals football team. You definitely have added to the mix in that regard. And is that intentional? Is it just kind of fall that way, or what's the mindset there? Hey, Dave Lapham here to tell you about one of Cincinnati's fastest growing companies, First Star Logistics. They're currently drafting freight brokers to join their sales team. Apply at firststarlogistics.com.
First Star Logistics, opportunity knocking.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. You're certainly wanting to get those type of guys, and it can only help. You're getting good players that are used to, they're battle tested, but not just during the regular season, but in playoffs and Super Bowl, and that's huge. Excuse me.
So Bengals also signed Irv Smith Jr., veteran tight end, as a free agent. In your estimation, how big a problem can a tight end be that can block, well at the end of the line of scrimmage, and then be a threat in the passing game? How tough a matchup is that when you have a guy that is versatile enough to do both?
Oh, it's huge, and especially with the weapons we have on the outside,
right?
It just opens up the middle for this, for the tight ends, and it becomes just one more thing to deal with.
So this year's draft, Coach, in terms of corners, safeties, edge rushers, there are always good players. There's no question about that. But does the depth of the draft hit you well defensively, or is you're going to be dependent on, you're always dependent on when runs are made, but where is the strength of this draft in your eyes defensively?
Yeah, I think it's spread out a little bit. I think there's some, as always, there's positions that are a little bit stronger than others. But we'll kind of see how it goes for us. And, you always have a plan, and then, guys get taken in front of you. So you have to, be ready and to adjust. And I think Duke does a great job with that going through the draft process. So, we'll see. I like certain guys in certain spots. But again, you just got to have, which we do, a nice long list of people that be able to maybe fill in where you weren't expecting it to be.
The draft gurus as such, it seems like the consensus of opinion is it's probably stronger at corner than safety. Is that a fair assessment, do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. A little bit more depth. But again, there may be one guy that slips
right.
down you thought might not, and then it's a guy that you like, so you take him. So it's really, a crapshoot to see how it all falls that weekend,
Sure. With the way college football offenses are being deployed now, the versatility that the safeties have to play in corners. I mean, everybody has to do a lot, I think, in terms of versatility, potentially. Are you noticing that defensive backs are coming into the league more ready to learn and adjust to what you're teaching in terms of, look, I just don't want you to be this. You're going to be this. You're going to have to be able to do this. You're going to have to give me some position versatility. Is the college game helpful in that regard, or is it like, man, not really?
They go so fast in college that they don't get a chance to play. Most teams don't get a chance to play maybe as many coverages and things. So it can be a hindrance at times, because their offenses are trying to go so fast. The defensive guys look to the sideline, and here we go. So it's a little bit different game. There are some teams certainly that employ a lot of different things, but it's player to player. It depends on what their background is and where they're coming from.
So, how big is the signing of Michael Thomas, not only for special teams but for you and your secondary?
Yeah, I love Mike. Again, I think it's year 12 now for him,
Wow.
Which is amazing, and just great leader. Just setting the tone every day for really a big part of the team, both on special teams and defense, and been around so long now, and thrilled thrilled to have him back.
So it's real interesting. There are always going to be edge rush guys, in every round, and it's not this simple. But you love to have as many edge rushes as you can, as many guys in the secondary and the back end at corner in coverage as you can, as you say. What's the edge rush group look like coming out?
Again, I think it as you watch, usually those guys, the ones you really want, they're pretty high up to get.
Sure.
But there may be a guy or two in those, as we go down through it that we have our eye on. But I know the coaches and the scouts have been at a ton of pro days and trying to find guys at all levels of the draft each round that potentially could come in and help. So I feel good about it. There's a number of guys that we like, but we'll see how it goes.
How much time do you get to spend from an interview standpoint with these players at their pro days one-on-one? Is there much time there?
Yeah, we usually go out a day before and try to grab lunch with the guy or take him out to dinner or the day after, however it is. The higher profile the guy is, a little bit harder to maneuver those things, but you spend time with him just in a comfortable setting for him, and just get a feel for the guy. So those things I think are invaluable.
So we talked about Jermaine Pratt, another guy obviously that is very, very key to what you do from a communication standpoint and making plays, tying the linebackers to the back end and the linebackers to the front end. Logan Wilson, and it'd be great to get that now that he's eligible to get a new contract. It'd be great to get old 5.5 on the dotted line, wouldn't it?
No, it sure would be. Why don't you call upstairs, Lap, and get it going?
I'm telling you, man, that's what you definitely like to see get done. But to have those two guys, up the middle of your football field, you've got experienced defensive linemen, you got experienced linebackers, and then the safeties moved on, but now you've got guys that are starting to fill in a void there. But how big are Logan and Jermaine in terms of getting all of that reestablished for you?
Oh, again, it's huge. I can't imagine not having those guys. So, they're used to it. They again, as I mentioned with Jermaine, Logan knows the system inside and out. It's a great matchup for us in so many different ways, and just communication, them two working together. It's really, really helps us.
So, Coach, you've gotten a lot of buzz recently, and well deserved, about how creative you are and how much defense that you can employ and things. You have to have intelligent players to be able to do that. But from your standpoint, where does it come from, Coach? I mean, are you using stuff? Are you adding every year? Do you have your staples and then some minor adjustments to your staple packages? How do you go about this time of the year? How do you go about saying, I'm staying with this, I got a wrinkle here, I got a tweak there? How do you start that process?
Yeah, I just think that we have our core things we believe in, and then we add, maybe a little tweak here or there, as you mentioned, every year. I mean, in the AFC Championship game this year, the Super Bowl last year, I'm calling some of the same defenses that we call in the first day of OTAs, first day of spring install. So, and our guys execute it, and that's, you don't want to outthink yourself sometimes. So we do certain things really good, and we kind of employ those things, and then use the change-ups as we go throughout the game.
If you were scouting your defense and looking at tape of your defense, and I know that you obviously spend every minute of every day with them, so it's I guess this might be a tough ask, but what do you think of the traits after you watch tape of your group? What do you think are things that just jump off the screen about your defensive football team that characterizes it?
I mean, I think we've been a team that communicates between each other really, really well. We are a very good tackling football team. We don't hurt ourselves, not a lot of unforced errors. We're in the right spots more times than not. We don't give up a ton of explosives. So I think when you're not hurting yourself, you're giving yourself an opportunity to win the game by putting yourself in the right spot. And then it's just a matter of making the plays at the appropriate times.
Telling you that, it's simple, but it is so true. I mean, if you can avoid the big play because of mental error, man, you got a chance, right? I mean, make them go the long way. Don't give them the short route, right? I mean, it's that simple, isn't it? Make them take a few snaps to do it.
Absolutely.
Coach, you had another great year as a football team and as a defensive football team. Players, coaches, everybody. I mean, it was it's always a pleasure to watch you guys play. I mean, that's the thing is I look at your football team. To me, I'm big on functional football speed. I think sometimes track speed can be what's it like when the pads and helmets on. Can this speed translate on a football field? And your football team is fast from a functional football speed standpoint. I mean, boy, guys are always taking proper angles. I mean, the football geometry is always outstanding. I mean, it's fun to watch these guys play, Coach. You've done a hell of a job here.
No, I appreciate it. We got great staff, and as you know, the guys have all been terrific, and let's just keep it rolling.
No doubt, man. Everybody has bought in, to say the least, and it'd be crazy if they didn't, because something special is cooking, man. Appreciate your time, Coach. Enjoy some fun in the sun. Is it nice down there today in Florida?
Yeah, it is. Always is.
Always is. The best to your wife. You guys enjoy yourself, and look forward to catching up again down the road, Coach.
Thanks, Lap. Appreciate you having me.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.